The events of this story took place on the beautiful island of Jersey. Jersey is located in the Channel Islands archipelago in the English Channel, about 150 kilometers from the southern shores of Great Britain and approximately 25 kilometers off the coast of France. It is surrounded by other islands like Guernsey, Sark, Alderney, Herm, and several smaller uninhabited ones. On this tranquil island where the most significant crime was bike theft, a shocking crime occurred in 2011. Jersey had a population of 100,000 people and was known as a tax haven, attracting immigrants seeking a better life. One of these immigrant families was the Rzeszowski family, originally from Poland. The residents of Jersey felt safe and trusted one another. Damian Rzeszowski was born in 1980 in Nowy Sącz, Poland. He grew up there with his parents and two siblings. Damian had a relatively difficult family life. He often felt lonely as his father struggled with alcohol abuse. In the beginning, the family lived in a cramped apartment with his grandmother. Damian developed close relationships with his uncle, who had legal troubles and lived with them after his release from prison. Damian's academic performance was average, and he didn't stand out. In 1999, he graduated from a vocational school for automotive mechanics. He met his future wife, Izabela, during his military service in Bydgoszcz, Poland. During a pass, he was captivated by an attractive young woman at a party. They quickly became a couple and soon started planning their future together. Damian made a good impression on Izabela's parents. Shortly after, they moved in together with Izabela's grandfather in Bydgoszcz. Unfortunately, they faced financial challenges and began considering emigration. Damian was uncomfortable with the idea of taking money from his future in-laws. In 2005, the couple decided to move to Jersey. Damian was the first to move to St. Helier, and Izabela joined him later. Neither of them spoke English at that time, making their beginnings on the island quite challenging. They were thrilled when they found jobs, with Izabela working as a waitress and Damian as a kitchen porter. Damian, however, soon switched to a better-paying job in construction. Izabela's brother and his partner, as well as their father, Marek, also lived on the island. Damian excelled in his new job and earned his employer's trust. He was hardworking, responsible, and readily accepted overtime to secure their future. He also started improving his English language skills. Everything seemed to be going well, and after 3 years on the island, the couple got married. A year later, their first daughter, Kinga, was born, followed by their son, Kasper, 4 years later. Damian was a proud father and posted photos on social media with the caption, "Growing Champion." The family lived in a nice apartment, had no legal issues, and was considered by family and neighbors as a loving and exemplary family. Izabela took care of the children in the home, while Damian worked diligently to provide for the family. They lived with Izabela's father, who happily looked after his grandchildren during his free time. Despite everything appearing perfect, Damian missed his hometown in Poland and dreamed of returning. He saw Jersey as a transitional phase and struggled with feelings of discrimination and the hardships of emigration. He didn't feel at home on the island and longed for his home country, where his family and friends were far away. His relationships with colleagues were rather superficial, and he had no one to confide in about the problems he was facing, particularly in his relationship. His goal was to save money to buy a house. Meanwhile, Izabela had a different vision. She loved life on the island, and she had no desire to return to Poland. Here, she had her closest family, and she had also made a friend, Marta, another Polish woman. Marta had come to Jersey on vacation, where she met her husband and decided to stay on the island. Izabela and Marta had met through Izabela's brother's partner, who was the nanny for Marta's daughter. After Izabela's grandfather passed away, the couple bought his apartment as an investment for the future. This was when Izabela's brother decided to return to Poland and rent an apartment from them. Izabela took over her brother's partner's job, which led to her friendship with Marta. They quickly became inseparable, and their daughters also became friends. All of this made Isabella happy on the island. Her father, Marek, also didn't support the idea of returning to Poland. Both Isabella and Marek were getting frustrated with Damian's obsession with saving money. They didn't understand his extreme thriftiness. Isabella wanted to live life to the fullest, and her father wanted her to be happy. They both increasingly felt that Damian couldn't provide that. Despite this, Damian remained adamant in his ways. He even ordered an apartment in Poland from one of the developers, but he was scammed and lost his savings. The man was devastated. The crisis in the Rzeszowski relationship probably resulted from different expectations from life and the betrayal committed by Isabella. The woman admitted to her husband that she had been unfaithful. She told him about her 2-month affair, assuring him of its end. In retaliation, Damian also cheated on her with a random woman. Violence began to occur in the Rzeszowski home. Mostly psychological. Damian separated money from his wife, and even in a fit of anger, threw her out of the house. There were also rumors that the woman was pregnant with another man. However, they have not been confirmed. Isabella sometimes added posts on social networks, which were supposed to confirm their crisis. One of them read, "Not many men get what they want, not many men deserve what they get." The situation was so serious that Isabella started looking for help. She went to one of the foundations supporting women, which by design should have given her shelter. Unfortunately, nothing of the sort occurred. The woman returned with nothing. It's hard to say why this happened. At the same time, Damian was undergoing a nervous breakdown. He felt worse and worse. The man's worse condition was noticed by his colleagues at work and his boss. He was not the same smiling colleague from the construction site. He said it was due to the bankruptcy of the developer and the loss of money. He did not admit to any other problems. His condition was so serious that he decided to see a doctor. He told him about family problems, chronic stress and insomnia. The doctor diagnosed the beginnings of depression. He prescribed him medication and recommended rest. He issued him a sick leave. Damian did not comply with the recommendations. On July 12, 2011, he threatened his life. He swallowed 60 antidepressant pills. During the attempted suicide, his son, several months old Casper, was in his care. The man was found by Isabella, concerned about his absence. Full of concern, she returned home, where she found her son playing and her husband unconscious. The ambulance arrived at the last minute. Damian was taken to the hospital, where his wife watched over him all the time. The man survived. It also seemed that it was a shock for both of them, that they decided to make things right. On July 21, Isabella posted an entry. "I love you more than life. Together holding hands, we will endure everything, because you are my love, faith, humility, and above all my other half." The entry included a photo of Damian. The man was not detained for prolonged psychiatric observation. He did not receive the kind of help typical of people after a suicide attempt. In Jersey, it is sufficient for a patient to express a desire to leave the hospital when his condition is already stable. Damian decided to leave hospital. The family decided to go on vacation to Poland for 3 weeks. There is conflicting information in the sources. Some say that the family was happy and relaxed on vacation, and others again that Damian used the services of a prostitute, or even that he tried to commit suicide again. It is difficult to determine what the vacation really looked like, but it is certain that after 3 weeks the family returned to Jersey, and that is when the tragedy occurred. On August 14, 2011, despite the long car trip from Poland to Jersey, family planned to have a barbecue. It's a beautiful, warm day. They arrive at the apartment in the morning, and that's when the first loud fight occurs. The neighbors hear arguing. However, the atmosphere calms down, and Isabella and her father go to get her friend Marta. Today at a barbecue the woman will be alone with her daughter. Her husband has other plans for the day. However, the peace does not last too long. After returning, it turns out that Damian left 2 small children unattended and simply left home. He claims that he felt strange. Another quarrel ensues. And this time the conflict manages to calm down. It seems that everyone is spending a pleasant afternoon. Unexpectedly, a cry for help reaches the neighbors. Outside they see a man chasing a terrified woman. At the first moment they do not know that Damian is stabbing her with a knife. At 2:58 p.m. the police are called. No one yet knows what happened. When help arrives on the scene, no one realizes yet that they will never forget this sight. At the entrance door lay Marek, Isabella's father. He had a knife stuck in his back. The paramedics attempted resuscitation. Unfortunately, the man could not be saved. A boy, the couple's son, was found dead in the next room. Another person was Damian Rzeszowski. At that moment he looked like a victim. He was naked and had multiple lacerations and wounds on his wrists. He was alive. The rescuer managed to make contact with him. It was he who said that there should be 6 more people in the house. Everyone started searching. 4 more people were found. Isabella, Marta and 2 girls, Julia and Kinga. They were all taken to the hospital. None of them could be saved. Damian was in critical condition. News of the tragic events spread rapidly. It was the first homicide in Jersey in 7 years and the first criminal case to hit the social media. As technicians examined the crime scene, one of the victims' phones kept ringing. It was Marta's husband. He was trying to find out why she and his daughter had not yet returned home. Within 15 minutes, 6 people were brutally murdered. 54-year-old Marek, 34-year-old Marta, 30-year-old Isabella, 5-year-old Kinga and Julia, and 18-month-old Kasper. The only survivor was Damian Rzeszowski. The police had to wait until he regained consciousness to arrest and interrogate him. He inflicted multiple blows to his chest, damaging his lungs in the process. Although the perpetrator survived and regained consciousness the next day, it took officers a year to establish the events of August 14. Damian claimed he did not remember anything. He did not want to testify. Step by step, experts reconstructed the events of that day on the basis of traces and witness accounts. Isabella and her 3 children were supposed to be in the living room, where the toddlers were playing under her care. Not sensing anything bad at the time, Damian reached for 2 knives and attacked his father-in-law, who was watching TV at the time. It is this sequence that will be used in the trial as an argument that the crime was premeditated and the man could not have acted in an act of passion. Damian first wanted to get rid of the man. That is, someone who could offer him real physical resistance. The blow damaged his spinal cord, making Marek unable to walk anymore. Despite this, he wanted to reach the living room to save the children. He crawled. The boy Damian attacked while playing. His sister Kinga sat next to him. She died just as brutally. Another was Julia, who, like Kinga, received 16 knife stabs. Isabella could do nothing. She was to be the last. This was probably how Damian wanted to punish her. She was to watch her loved ones die. Her suffering was to last the longest. She was attacked in the hallway, where she received 3 knife stabs. She still managed to escape to the bathroom. She grabbed her father's phone and called the Polish emergency number 997, which did not work in Jersey. She dropped the phone and ran out. Meanwhile, Marta also tried to free herself, who ran out of the house with a scream. Damian caught up with her and attacked her. Probably another time, as Marta's blood was also secured in the apartment. On the street, Isabella was attacked again. Witnesses tried to scream, but Damian stopped them from reacting by brandishing a knife. He then locked himself in the apartment and tried to commit suicide, dealing 27 stabs to himself. Damian admitted his guilt, but never talked about the events of that day. He gave perfunctory answers and changed his testimony. The first time he denied having hallucinations, but the next day he claimed to have heard voices from outside. At first he maintained that he remembered only some of the scenes, and then that he did not remember anything. He mentioned arguments with his wife in recent months, depression. He did not testify at the trial, and experts' opinions on his condition were widely divergent. In Jersey, the verdict is rendered by jurors, the experts did not agree. Some even disputed the fact about his depression and attempted suicide, which according to them was an attempt to shock his wife, who wanted to leave him. In the notes it could be found that Rzeszowski is an overly controlling person and has violent tendencies. That he probably could not cope with the betrayal of his wife and wanted to punish her. Due to the fact that the victims were also Marta and Julia, who were not related to him, the so-called extended suicide was ruled out. The prosecutor insisted that Damian acted with premeditation, which is why he first attacked the only man in the house, his father-in-law. There was also a recurring theme of a fight in 2009, where Damian suffered a head injury. Psychiatrists argued with each other, and their opinions were mutually exclusive. The verdict came a year after the tragic events. The court declared that Damian Rzeszowski was insane at the time of the crime. He was sentenced to 30 years imprisonment for each killing. The punishment was to run concurrently. After that time he was to be deported to Poland. Damian listened to the sentence with a stone face. He showed no regret. The verdict shook public opinion. Also Isabella's family could not come to terms with it. Her mother lost her husband, daughter and 2 grandchildren in one day. Rzeszowski was sent to a maximum security prison, but this was not the end of his tragic story. Damian was almost a model prisoner. He was diagnosed with a mental disorder. He was taking medication. Damian's family claimed that he was mistreated in prison and should be transferred to a psychiatric ward. In January 2018, Damian self-harmed and tried to commit suicide by swallowing a large dose of medication. In February, he destroyed the cell in which he was housed, as a result of which he was transferred to a segregation unit. Soon after, he was referred to a closed psychiatric hospital. Damian spent 45 days there, after which he was returned to the standard wing of the prison. On March 31, 2018, Damian Rzeszowski hanged himself in prison. He was 37 years old at the time of his death. He never told about his crime.